Hey there, Agile adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday, the big question of the week, this week with Darryl Wright. Hey, Darryl, welcome back.
Thanks, Vasco. I'm enjoying doing these.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to have you here so far, and I'm sure it's going to be a blast from now on. So we'll talk about success in a minute. But before we dive into that, share with us, Darryl, what's your favorite Agile retrospective format and why?
Thanks. I love this question. So I'm actually going to be cheeky here and put two in. The first one, because they're in different contexts. So if it's a learning environment, I really love the 4 L's, which is liked, learned, lacked, and longed for. And that's really great for finding, what's going on in a learning environment. And then I have another one, which I love for an operational environment, which is the 3 Little Pigs retro. So this one is asking, what, as a team, what are we really strong at and what are our weaknesses, right? So the 3 Little Pigs, they all build a house. So the house of straw, that's the things we're really weak at. Nothing stands up. We just fall over. And the house of sticks is things we've put structure around, but it doesn't really work. And then the house of bricks is what are we solid on? What can we count on every time? And so they're the 3 Little Pigs. And then you ask, and what's the big bad wolf? The really scary thing, the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about? Let's talk about that. So I love this for surfacing those, things that would otherwise just go unspoken that no one ever wants to confront. So I love that one. So they're my 2 favorites. And why I love them is that the 2 things that I've seen make the difference between successful retros that are really valuable uses of people's time. There are 2 things. The first one is vary your formats. Don't just keep using the same format over and over again. I run into teams and they're like, nobody wants to come to the retro because we just keep asking them the same questions over and over again. And they say to us, well, you already asked us that question. I gave you my answer. Why are you asking me again? Right? So don't ask the same questions. Ask different questions. Every new set of questions is like a different lens to look through. It gives you a different perspective and you'll generate fresh insights. So that's the first one, vary your Agile retro formats. If you're ever looking for them and you don't know what to do, just Google Agile retro formats and you'll get dozens and dozens of them, right? You'll never run out. And then the second thing that I see is that retros don't have actions out of them, right? So the best way to make sure no one ever comes up with a suggestion for improvement ever again is for them to see nothing happens, right? I make a suggestion, just goes into the void and there's no action. Well, they're not going to come up with another one next time. But if you take actions that people are actually going to do something different, change the way we work and see, is that better? Those actions will make people want to come to the retro. So they're the 2 reasons why I love those formats.
Yeah, and I think the anti-patterns you've mentioned are really worth kind of imprinting into our minds, right? Always pay attention. Are people happy to come to the retro? If not, we need to come up with something because retros are the engine of improvement. In fact, going back to the example you used on Tuesday, I bet that team was not getting any value out of their retros because they were stuck in the same pattern and they weren't doing anything to get out of it.
That's right, 100%.
And then the other aspect is always make sure there's an improvement, no matter how small it is. And have a retro on the retro itself. Allow people to say that they don't like it, that they're missing something. That's okay. It's not a judgment on us. right? It's
Yes.
input, it's information on which we can build and create better retros.
Absolutely. Oh, and one last tip, like know your team, find out what they're interested in, what they're passionate about, and then pick retro. Like if you know they're all sports crazy, use sports retros. If they're all science fans, use SpaceX ones, whatever it is. Like pick things that they're into, and they will love it. Don't do what one Scrum Master I know tried to do. She went into a mainframe team who were all in their mid-60s. They were about to retire. They were all very technical, introverted, highly engineer people. And she wanted to run the sailboat retro, which is a beautiful retro about what's the sun on your face, what's the wind in your sails. And they, as soon as she started talking, they said, "What do you think we are, kindergarten children?" And they got up and walked out of the room.
Yeah,
You got to pick your
always
audience,
know
eh?
your audience. Always know
Know
your
your
audience.
audience. Read the room. Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
about knowing our audience, a lot of our audience here is Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, people who work with teams. And for us to succeed in these roles, we need to have a clear definition of what that is. And today we want to hear your definition, Darryl. How do you define success for yourself as an Agile person, a Scrum Master, an Agile coach?
Yeah, yeah. So, firstly, let me just say what I think it's not. And because often I've gone into places and they're like, okay, your success measure as a Scrum Master or as an Agile coach is going to be the percentage of Agile adoption across the organization. Or we're going to do a maturity assessment on the teams, and that's going to be the success measure. And folks, that's not a real success measure. That's a vanity metric. It shows something for its own sake, right? So I would say, if at all possible, don't use anything like that. So what do I recommend? Firstly, I think there needs to be multiple measures, right? One measure is almost guaranteed that it's going to get turned into a target, which will get it'll get gamed, right? So it needs to be, firstly, a spread of things. Secondly, I would suggest always balancing quant versus qual, right? So quantifiable number metric things with qualitative things. So what is people experience like? What is their, can you ask them to rate their happiness, how productive they're able to be, as well as things that you can quantify with numerics like lead time, flow efficiency, quality, those sort of things. And then the other thing I like to try and balance is business success, so outcomes. So are we, improving things like customer satisfaction or, revenue versus humanity? Like, how are the team progressing towards becoming a high-performing team? Because ultimately, like from my point of view, what I want to achieve and what I would like my success measure to be is how much have I helped the team become a more high-performing team? But that's what I want. That's not necessarily what the team wants. So if I'm in there to help the team, then I want my success measure to be, well, what is the team trying to achieve? What do they want to do? And then my success is how much have I helped them achieve what they want? Right. And so if what they want is to uplift quality or to reduce their time to market or something like that, well, then my success is helping them achieve that. So, often I like to try and negotiate what my success measure is going to be by asking the team or the organization, well, what are you trying to achieve? And so then I can measure how much I'm helping you to do that. That said, if they ask me what my favorite ones are, I would probably say flow efficiency and employee happiness. Like if I could just pick two, it would be those.
I like how you phrased it, that it's not about what I want, it's about what the team needs to achieve, and of course also the stakeholders.
Yes.
One caveat I would put there is that it's very easy for the team and the stakeholders to want things that we already know are going to be destructive for them.
Yes.
And I have some ideas of what to do in those cases. Like, for example, deliver more story points would be a great example. So what would you do in that case? Let's say you go to a team, you talk about what success means, and everybody says more story points, more story points, more story points.
Yes.
How would you bring your own knowledge, experience, and perspective to that conversation?
Well, firstly, I would have the conversation with them about shifting from, outputs to outcomes. I would say we could deliver more story points by just making the story smaller. Like that doesn't help anyone, does it? Because we're not actually delivering more value. What we want to do is deliver more value to our customers. Is that what you're trying to do? Is that what you're trying to measure with the more story points? Because if so, let's think about this in a way that actually measures value delivered. Like, could we work out value delivered in however much time? If we can deliver more value in less time, is that achieving what you want to achieve? Is that a better way of measuring that? So I would have that sort of conversation with them. And if the conversation was with the stakeholders as well, I would say to them, would you be happy if your team checked off more boxes, but your customers were less happy? Would you be okay with that, right? And usually they would say no. And I would say, okay, so what is it that you're really trying to do? What does more story points look like to you? What does it equate to? And maybe they would say, I want to release every 2 months instead of every 3 months.
So you would try to get them to translate the more story points into something, but that something, I hear you say, it needs to be connected to somehow the impact of that something. So if we were to deliver story points, how would that help us?
Yes. Okay. And I would try and shift and convert that into value, impact, outcomes, those sort of things.
Right. So I'm totally with you on that. And I think that kind of, let's call it that judo move, right? Like take something that people already want and then ask, how would that help us? It kind of frees them to stick to that idea. Yes, we still want that, but then start thinking without dropping the old idea, more story points, start thinking, but what does that mean? Why is that important? What would the impact be? And I think that's a very powerful kind of twist in the conversation that allows them to sit with what they want, but then imagine why that really matters.
Yes. And my mission, my purpose in life is to help organizations be not just more successful, but more humane as well. And so I would always be asking, okay, if we want to get, more value out to our customers, but we burn out our teams and they all quit or go off on stress leave, is that really helping us be more successful in the long run? No. Okay, so then what about if we balance by having multiple measures? Can we measure greater value to customers in shorter time and employee engagement, staff happiness, morale levels? Because truly, when we're working well in an agile team, we can be highly productive and highly successful and have high morale at the same time. We don't have to give up one to get the other. We can have both. And it's the same thing as, an organization trying to get increased speed and increased quality, right? They don't want to increase speed at the cost of quality. They don't want to increase quality at the cost of speed.
Yeah, the balancing metrics, right? It's not just one. It's never just one metric anyway.
That's right. And it's not one at the expense of something else, right? We want both. And this is the same. So yeah, more success and more humane. That's what I'm after.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that with us, Darryl.
I was going to say, just there's one thing I love about the Better Value, Sooner, Safer, Happier. They have a dashboard for measuring value across all of those different domains. So if you're looking for an example of what might success measures look like, we can make a whole dashboard of it. Check out Sooner, Safer, Happier.
And the link is in the show notes.
Hey!
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you. The members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.